Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. Now today in this video I actually wanted to talk about the whole Kanye West situation and his erratic tweets, his crazy tweets, his claiming to support and like Donald Trump, is basically this propaganda and this his advertising that he loves Donald Trump. Now, I just have to say, I'm actually disgusted by this. It looks bad, especially for us. It really looks bad that, we have people with a certain level of power, well, not power, but privilege in terms of having money and an influence and a platform, saying that they like people like Donald Trump. I'm going to get into a few things and then I'm going to go into my opinion. I actually watched Lovely T's video on this, and she basically said, you know what? People like Kanye, they basically have a right to choose who they want to support. They have a right to choose. They have a right to change. They have a right to, and you know what? She is definitely 100% correct on that, because technically, like, as human beings, we do have the right to choose. However, my opinion is, when you have someone that you look up to, and when we need all hands on deck in terms of, being progressive, getting rights, people using their platform and influence to basically help, or that can affect our community, and I'm speaking specifically about the Black community and minority communities and basically people of marginalized groups. But my thing is this: I think we too much put people like celebrities and entertainers and give them a higher pedestal than other people who can actually use their influence and their platforms to speak up. What about the politicians? What about people in politics that look like us? You know what I'm saying? Why aren't we paying more attention to them, but we're always paying more attention to the entertainer and the rapper and the, and the singer and the performer and the athlete who doesn't. And of course, like I said, we need all hands on deck. They're the ones who we will pay attention to, and they're the ones who do have a platform and it's some influence and some money that can actually help us be more progressive in this movement. However, they're not the only ones. And they are human too. Now, I'm not taking Kanye's side about it, because like I said, I actually am disgusted. I actually don't like his decision, or appreciate or accept or approve of his decision or his thoughts on Trump and how he's getting so close to Trump. After the election, he dyed his hair blonde and stuff like that, and like was getting all like buddy with Donald Trump. And I also remember Lovely T saying that, maybe Kanye's just trying to be to Donald Trump like Jay-Z was to Obama. And you know what? Maybe that's the case, because he did claim that he was running in 2020. So maybe it's just a marketing or business or strategic type of tactic, getting close with the president now so I can see what it's like and try to do things later. But after that, you know what? I can't support it. I couldn't support Kanye being president. But aside from that, I think that, we call it crazy. We call him crazy. Okay, his erratic tweets and everything like that. It's just crazy. And, Lovely T also made this point as well, and I'm going to go probably, reference her a lot in this video. But she also made another point, and this is why I subscribe to her, because, I think most of the time I can see her point, because it's like she takes sometimes the words out of my mouth, because I was thinking this too. Every time we just don't want to argue, or we just want to be dismissive about a situation, or we just can't fully understand why someone would think or say certain things like this, is because we just call them crazy and just dismiss it. And Dave Chappelle said it too, we just, in Hollywood or in the industry, we just like to dismiss things sometimes when we have people making erratic tweets, or we have people coming out the woodwork at random times just saying this and causing a confusion. We like to call them crazy, and we like to argue mental health. I think we only argue mental health, especially us as Black people, or at least people of color. We kind of like to argue, oh, they're crazy, and just cast it to the side. We only argue mental health. I mean, we're just now really discussing it, but I think we only like to apply it when it's a celebrity doing something we can't understand. that is outside of the norm or out of our monolithic norm, or when we see somebody commit a crime and then we want to argue mental health. And yes, a lot of things are mental and psychological, if not everything. But let's be honest, not everything is accounted to, well, everything is, but not everything we should say, oh, that's a mental health problem. And I'm a real advocate for like mental health, especially amongst us, people of color. I'm definitely a advocate for that. But I think sometimes when a celebrity does something, or someone we put on a pedestal does something, and we don't like it, and it's just coming out very erratically in the form of tweets, in the form of their actions, And honestly, I think Kanye West has been losing his mind for a long time, before he got with Kim, before Donald Trump, because we all remember back in like 2005, 2006, he said, oh, George Bush doesn't care about black people. And he just said it out of the blue. There wasn't any warning. There wasn't any, there was just no introduction to it. He just came out of the blue and said it, at the I think it was 2009 VMAs, he just got up and interrupted Taylor Swift and said, Beyonce had one of the greatest albums of all time or videos of all time. And he just got out of nowhere and started saying it. But, that's kind of what he does. And I think he does this for attention. I've noticed something. And one thing I've noticed too, as well as other people have been saying it, the only time he really comes out the woodwork or he does something crazy that garners attention is when he's about to drop an album, when he's about to release a fashion line, when he's about to sell something. Does he come out and cause controversy, or does he come out and interact with his fans? And that's kind of true. I've noticed that when Kanye blows up, something is about to sell. When certain people blow up or want to blow up, that means they're trying to sell something. And as an entrepreneur, I say, that's pretty smart, because I do whatever you can. There's this saying that there's no such thing as bad press. The whole point is, if you're being talked about, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. If you're being talked about, if people are calling your name, if they're adding you on Twitter or Instagram or commenting, it doesn't matter. They say all publicity is good publicity, or there's no such thing as bad press. So as long as you're being talked about, as long as you're getting some attention, it doesn't matter. Like, some people have gotten to that point nowadays. Nowadays, I've noticed a lot of people, they want infamy. It's actually better than fame now. It doesn't matter if you're being liked or not. If you're being talked about, that's what matters. But aside from that, I just feel like, I feel like he's been losing his mind for a while, for a long time. And, I just feel like it's just crazy right now. And see, I'm using the word crazy, but that's the best way I can describe it. Another thing I wanted to get into is how Snoop Dogg caught himself getting into the mix. Now, he said basically, I'm not going to remember this word by word. I'm not going to remember it word by word, but he basically said, oh my God, he lost his mind. Get this, dude out of here. He's over and done with. He's in the sunken place. And they're saying Kanye is in the sunken place because he is all about talking to Donald Trump. And then technically, that's kind of what it is, because you're just talking about how much you love him. You're talking about, oh, he's cooning and he's doing all this. He's an Uncle Tom now. But Snoop Dogg, I believe, in a way, shouldn't be talking too much. He's right about this particular incident, but he really shouldn't be talking. The same guy who rapped about gang banging and he was smoking weed a lot and kind of promoted gang culture through his music, whereas the old Kanye didn't. He is up there calling, at Justin Bieber's roast, he was calling Justin Bieber his N-word and everything like that. I feel like he shouldn't be talking. I feel like Snoop Dogg in a way is fake woke. You could say he's trying to be more woke and things like that, but I believe some of these celebrities and everything, especially the male rappers who rapped about gang culture, are fake woke. They're really either trying to market or get more fans, and they could really be trying to awaken themselves as well, but I feel like they dive head first into it, say some really good shit that tugs at our heartstrings and is music to our ears, and because we're in a time where being conscious or trying to be conscious or woke is a thing now, it's turned into less of a movement and more of a trend. Like, these celebrities just want to get in because now that they know that people are paying attention to that. I really shouldn't be talking, because I mean, when I heard he was doing a gospel album, I was actually had a mixed review about it, because here's the guy who's rapping about gang culture and who's rapping about a whole lot of other things that are like considered not so Christian, And I've listened to a couple of his songs because I listen to gospel music and I have Google Play on my phone. So I listen to Google Play and I've heard his songs. And let me tell you, it's not really him singing. It's definitely just him saying a couple of words in the intro. Maybe he'll have a verse or so, but he's really producing a rap album, a gospel album. He's producing a gospel album. He basically is having other well-known gospel artists. And the songs are really good, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not really him singing, it's just him producing it and all the other gospel artists that I know of that are singing on this. Like, I think Fred Hammond is on it. If you guys listen to gospel music, Fred Hammond is on it. He had people like I think Kirk Franklin on it. He has a bunch of well-known gospel artists on his gospel album. But I'm saying, yeah, you can change. Yes, you can enlighten. Yes, you can wake up. But I personally believe he's not too deep in this woke thing. I think what he does is he's looking for a cash grab. When I heard, look, the songs are nice and everything. He says he's doing a gospel album. I found that weird. But the fact that you're going in on Kanye, and even though you're right about this particular situation, you really shouldn't be talking so much because you're not a saint yourself. And whether you said you were a saint or not, you still need to watch what you're saying and how you're criticizing Kanye, but yet you're doing some of the things that are worth criticism. You know, you're sitting at Justin Bieber's rose calling him your N-word, and you know, you have a problem with Trump. I remember Roland Martin had to call you out by saying, you know, you called out like White Hollywood when the Roots Marathon came on, and you said, oh, why are they showing us another slave movie? Show us when we were kings and queens and everything like that. And although I agree, I'm saying, yes, I didn't see this Roots Marathon, but although I agree, yes, we need to show us that we were kings and queens and things like that. We need to show us in a more positive light, because we don't just have one narrative as people of color, as black people and people of African descent. We do not have just one narrative. But let's be honest, you and Nick Cannon want the same thing. You're out here saying a bunch of things we want to hear, but I don't see any action. You're out here saying, show us when we were kings and queens, and Roland Martin had to call you out, and I agree with him, because he said, maybe if you weren't so busy smoking weed, and I'm not saying that's what you spend all your money on, but let's be honest, you and Nick Cannon have the idea. You want the same thing, and you both have money. You have more money than the average person. I swear, this is why the small-time producers like, I wouldn't say small time, but people like Ava DuVernay, they'll come out with a documentary, 13th, they'll come out with TV shows, Queen Sugar, they'll produce and direct movies, and they probably don't have the money that you have, but they have an idea, they have a passion, and they put work in it, and all you're doing is begging and pleading like White Hollywood. Show us when we were kings and queens. You're right about this situation, but come on, you're deserving of some criticism. You have money. You don't think you can call up Nick Cannon? Because you've been on his show a couple of times. I've seen you on Wild 'N Out. And you can't say that, hey, Nick. You can't call Nick up and be like, Nick, you and I, we have the same thing. You have money. You don't think if you put out an advertisement saying, hey, we're looking for people who want to star in our own documentary or our own movie or show about this and that, you don't think people would flock for the opportunity to work with Snoop Dogg? You don't think you can get aspiring black directors, producers, writers, actors and actresses, costume design, all that to make a movie and a show? You have money, you have the platform, you have the influence, and you're saying a bunch of things that you just know we want to hear. Now, you're technically right, but you could put in the work. One thing I noticed with some rappers, like Snoop Dogg, they could say a bunch of things, but I don't see a lot of action. I don't see a lot of putting your money where your mouth is. But there's a lot of begging and pleading to White Hollywood. And yes, like I say, representation matters. They should be held accountable as well, and they should be putting us in a positive light as well. But I feel like nowadays, there's little to no excuse. Because if Ava DuVernay, who probably doesn't have the money a Snoop Dogg has, or probably had the connections that a Nick Cannon had, and she's still able to produce movies that make a lot of money at the box office. She's still able to produce good shows and documentaries putting on Netflix. You have no excuse. Okay? So that's all I got to say about that situation. Now, another thing I wanted to get into is the hypocrisy and the sexism. Now, what I noticed with the Kanye situation is that, and someone pointed this out in a YouTube video, and in the comments section, it rang so true, because I'm saying, here you are dissing people like Chrisette Michele, and you diss people like Tina Campbell. And now I agree, they deserved all the backlash they got. I was there. I was upset. I was hurt. I can't believe they would vote against. It's like they voted against us because they thought individually. It's like they voted against us because they were thinking like individual people, you know? So I had to give both of them the side eye. Now, for a lot of the times, I don't really pay attention too much to celebrities, and this is why I don't put people up high on a pedestal. I can give them their props when they deserve it. I can say, you know what, you did a good thing. But I never really look to certain celebrities like gods, and I think low key or high key, we do that. Especially us, because we're so desperate to look for like that one person that's just gonna solve all of our problems. And you could say that's not the case, but you may not realize that that's what you're doing. But anyway, I have to say that I noticed how the sexism and the misogynoir and that kind of runs, and the unfair treatment based on sexism that runs in our community. Like, we were so quick to cancel Tina Campbell. We were so quick to cancel Chrisette Michele after one performance. But, you know, Kanye goes to see Donald Trump. Kanye goes to talk about how much he loves Donald Trump. And he's done a lot of things that are actually that we found disrespectful towards us in terms of going to Donald Trump, and we gave him so many chances. We didn't say he was in the sunken place. Now, there have been some people who said that, but then again, you guys were still buying his albums, you were still listening to his music, you were still tagging that you had Yeezys on your feet, you still endorsed him. But Chrisette Michele, some of you to this day are still bitter about that, are still upset about it. And like I said, Tina and Chrisette Michele deserve the backlash. I was in there saying, you know, eventually I had to say, you know what, let me move on and let me not hold too much anger towards Chrisette Michele, because her performing at the inauguration did not put this man in office. However, she did deserve the backlash because we told her no. Your fan base said no, and yet you still thought as an individual, and then you went on. And it's kind of hard to believe that. I'm still at a mixed space with her, because I'm saying she claims, she was trying to build a bridge, and she doubled down on why she did it. She's defended herself. And then people said, then she said she came on Instagram and said, okay, I had suicidal thoughts because of that. I was trying to build a bridge. And I'm saying, you being this modern day Martin Luther King is not going to change anything. And I get it. We don't want any of our people breathing the same air as Donald Trump. But, she, like I said, she deserved the backlash, but she kind of dug her own grave, and I don't fully feel sorry for her, but I'm saying, I'm not going to lie, suicidal thoughts, when you talk about suicide, I really don't play with that. So that inclines me more to listen. She said she had a miscarriage and that they dropped her. I believe her being dropped by the label was the straw that broke the camel's back for her, and said, okay, now I have to apologize. It's like everything is falling apart. But it's kind of like, that's what you get when you decide to think on your own and think this can't work. I mean, Jennifer Holliday took the hint really quick, and now she still has her fan base. She said she was going to perform at the inauguration, and when her big LGBTQ fan base found out that she was going to do that, she got backlash and she pulled out. So Chrisette Michele, this is really starting to feel like you were just in it for the check. Now, I saw a YouTube video. I didn't watch it, but the caption was entitled, Chrisette Michele apologized after the check cleared. And it's like, maybe she did apologize after the check cleared. That's starting to sound very, very suspicious a little bit. But then I had to say, you know what? She claimed suicidal thoughts. She said, yes, she really did have a miscarriage. People said, no, you got those pictures from another woman's page. But But maybe that is her story. I don't know. And now I had another person who said, oh, no, this is why they're done with celebrities. They can't trust anyone who's a celebrity. And I feel like that's true. Like, you don't really know who to trust, because you don't know what's really going on behind closed doors. They don't care about like us. Some of them don't care once they've, made it to a certain point, because that money will change you, And Lovely T said this, that he has every right to go from saying, George Bush doesn't care about black people to he loves Donald Trump. And of course that's his right, but it's also our right to give him backlash. It's also our right to disagree with him. It's also our right to call him out. So I do think that although that's the truth is truth. You know, one thing about me is when I see truth in terms of technicality, I have to call it out. I have to say, you know, technically this is the truth and technically that is the truth, even though they're two opposing sides. But anyway, I noticed we're always so quick. It's like we're so quick to call out the woman. We're so quick to cut off the woman, but when a man does it, we'll give him 10 million chances. We'll give him 10 million and one chances. And one thing I noticed, like I said in this video, he really only interacts with us when it's time to sell something. And me being an entrepreneur, I can say, you know what, that's kind of smart. But at the same time, when you're talking about a situation like this, it can also be very dangerous. You know, you don't just be fake woke like that. You don't say you're going to endorse someone who's really against us and people like you. You know what I'm saying? What good is that going to do for you? But then you have some of these rappers like Kanye and some of these entertainers and celebrities who are really only looking at the dollar. And, you know, that's why we have to start looking at politics where we know we can get in touch. Well, not get in touch, but we know we can look up to people who can control our rights. You know, we can't just get in touch with politics and call our politicians when something like police brutality happens, or when something like, you know, we're just so poor, and then like look to these celebrities when this stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we put all our eggs in one basket at times, and I understand that the celebrities do have the platform and the influence and the money, but they're not the only people who can, you know, initiate change. We can initiate change. Us, the regular schmegular people, we can initiate change even in the smallest way. It can make a big difference. But we're trying to look at instant gratification in terms of our solutions, and this is why we always call the celebrities. And I get it. We need all hands on deck. But if someone is not going to help you, if plan A doesn't work, you need to go to plan B. I noticed that with us. I noticed that with some people in our community. We just put all our eggs in one basket. We are looking for the one surefire way that's going to solve all our problems and things like that. When that doesn't work, we act like there's no hope. And that's just kind of pessimistic a little bit. But I digress. But like I said, Snoop Dogg shouldn't be talking. I don't know what's going on with Kanye. He's been losing his mind forever. And I don't understand why we're so quick to call out a woman. Some people still didn't forgive her for that. They just said, oh, I don't forgive her. And I understand how we can't forgive her, because she said she blamed black women for, it's like she blamed black women for her failed career. She said now it was all mental. I personally believe it was more emotional, like you thought with your emotion because you were angry that your career didn't pop off and you blame black people. And that's something I kind of have to get into, because I'm saying, you said, oh, she only performed at the inauguration because she needed the check that bad. But then again, I'm saying maybe if we had supported her enough, maybe if we had given her enough support to finance her life or to help her get off the ground or something like that. Because I did see her in concert once and she was good. She probably wouldn't have to do something like that, you know? I'm not saying you have to be as big as a Beyonce, but maybe if we actually supported her in a full-blown way, or, you know, we'll give her the same support we would give Kanye, then maybe she wouldn't have had to do that. I'm not saying she was right. I'm just saying that some of the blame should be on our part too. You know, so some of the responsibility should be on our part too. However, like I said, she deserved all the backlash, and hopefully she'll learn again this time. I've been on her page, and so far it's positive stuff, but still, don't do anything like that and double down and then say I was trying to build a bridge, because it really looked like you were doing it for the check. You even got snubbed by Donald Trump, and you still defended after that. You know, Lovely T was like, this is what happens when shucking and jiving goes wrong. I mean, I'm sorry, but I do have to call it out. So, yeah, that's my opinion on this whole situation. I might come back with an update about it, and I will hope to see you in another video. If you like this video, then like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe.